On this episode of the 5P podcast, I'm your host, Michael J. Penney. I'm joined by Dr. Gordon Jones at gordonjones.org. He has a very neat backstory coming out of the 82nd Airborne and then transitioning into helping folks and especially little people, meaning children, which is very cool. And you can see the overall mission that he's got over at gordonjones.org. So, sir, thank you very much for joining me here on the 5P podcast.
Hey, my pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. All right, so tell us a little bit about the situation, the problem opportunity that you are focused on.
At the end of the day, I want people to change the way that they're living their lives from the standpoint of primarily of eating, from eating not so great to eating healthy and everything that comes with that. And that all leads to our health status. It leads to our emotional status. It leads to our relationships with our kids, who you may hear in the background at some point, because, food being a part of our lives, we socialize around food too. So that's kind of my mission. And then we have a whole bunch of applications that go along with that. But that's basically the primary purpose of my life right now.
Excellent. And I see also that you're speaking with audiences about this and you're generating interest. Now, I was poking around on gordonjones.org, as I hope other folks out there are. And I noticed that you've got this membership application. Could you explain the academy to our listeners?
Yeah. So my company name is createyourself.com LLC, and I do have the URL createyourself.com. But I do so much with that people just reference me as Gordon or Gordon Jones or Dr. Gordon Jones. So I changed the primary URL to just gordonjones.org. I do try to give away whatever I can. So whenever income comes in, my wife and I, we have a mission for giving away. So, and then the URL.org extension was available. So that's why it's gordonjones.org. But the primary is createyourself.com. And there is a long story that goes along with how I found that out. But I basically acquired that URL back in 1997. And so it's been around. But the website itself is structured as a place for learning. At the end of the day, my tagline is, as I teach, I learn. So I am always learning, and I'm always trying to help others learn. And so that's kind of my MO.
Right on. Excellent. All right. So through there, you have workshops, you have a learning experience in there. It's, dare I say it, free for people to be able to go in there and gather a whole lot of nuggets of knowledge, words of wisdom. As you so aptly put it earlier, it's a wonderful data dump where your reservoir has emptied into it. So go to gordonjones.org and click on Explore. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And go through this information, poke around in there as I have. Do your homework and be sure to connect with Gordon Jones, Dr. Gordon Jones. So tell the people, what is your doctorate in?
So my doctorate's in health administration. So my master's is in health administration also, but and traditionally that has been focused on teaching people how to run hospitals for the most part. It's kind of like a hospital MBA program. But I did about 3 years in a hospital setting, the academic medical center setting, even beyond that, which is it didn't really suit my personality. Let's put it that way. And so I bailed on working inside a big brick building with 7,200 other people to go work with physicians, because that's really where the care is done. Before people get sick, they go to their doctor, get preventative care. Before they're really sick, they go see their doctor, and hopefully they can prevent getting really sick. And so I really wanted to work as closely to the patient population before they get sick as I could. And so that was the beginning of my career. I was helping physicians. I'm kind of an entrepreneur and business guy. So I was helping physicians on how to better manage their business and make it more effective for them, which then in turns makes it more effective for their patients, especially in the 90s and the 2000s when this thing called managed care was really growing inside U.S. healthcare, and the doctors hated it and didn't know what to do with it, couldn't figure out how to take advantage of it. So that was my primary business then. And then I started layering into that the adoption of information technology to make that process even easier. And so today I really focus a lot on healthcare technology, both information technology, how do we leverage things like blockchain for healthcare, and then wearable technology. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing one of our devices right now. So, but
very cool.
Yeah.
Cutting edge, man. That's fantastic. Hey,
Yeah.
That's an exclusive right there.
That
That's
is.
the first time we've ever had.
We just launched this May the 1st. It's called the Healy. And it's from Germany, but we brought it into the United States May the 1st. It is FDA cleared, and it's the only wearable device I've found that's for the consumer that actually provides therapy. So it's not just a biometric device like the Apple Watch is that captures data. This actually captures data, determines what you need, and then provides what we call frequency therapy back to you. But we can talk about that later. But yeah, so health tech is it's not even the wave of the future. It's now. It's been around for a long time. But because of COVID, because of us having to hunker down at home and do tele visits like this, people are now finally starting to understand the benefits of telehealth, remote monitoring, what we call remote monitoring, and then even more self-directed care. So how can I leverage these kind of tools to help me take better care of myself? So yeah, it's fun.
It's very cool. You know, with 5P, with the military management method, we've helped out healthcare administrators who are looking to achieve magnet status and who are putting in relationship-based care type stuff. So I definitely understand and can appreciate where you're coming from a corporate medicine standpoint, and your appreciation for going more toward the private practice, because there are a whole lot of people out there who are extraordinarily smart. They're just not that business savvy, you know, and how can we put other things into place in order to be able to help them grow and do these different things? It's very much so business development. That is freaking awesome. And I so appreciate you bringing on new technology onto the show. That is so cool. You know, one of my parents retired out of healthcare administration. Another one retired out of a large pacer and defibrillator corporation.
Okay.
So both of them are really going to appreciate your technology going on over here. So very cool.
Okay, good. Yeah, be glad to talk to him about it.
Heck yeah. And for those of you who would like to talk with Gordon Jones at gordonjones.org, you can also connect with him. Where are you on LinkedIn? Can people talk to you over there?
LinkedIn, Dr. Gordon Jones, Pinterest, Dr. Gordon Jones, Instagram, Dr. Gordon Jones, Facebook, Dr. Gordon Jones. What else is there? I said LinkedIn.
There you go.
LinkedIn, definitely LinkedIn. LinkedIn's my primary platform. All the other ones kind of just push content out, but I communicate and network on LinkedIn primarily.
Excellent. We love pushing in. A lot of our listeners are on LinkedIn. A lot of them are in the professional networks. So it's great to be able to have those in-depth conversations with other people who get our nerdiness also. Right? Isn't that something that's so wonderful when it's reciprocated? It's like, oh, yes, you're as passionate and crazy about this type of stuff as I am.
Awesome. That's right.
And it's so wonderful getting that fellowship. So, all right. So I got to ask you a little bit backstory here, because I was poking around on gordonjones.org and I saw in there your about section. And as a father of 4, I appreciate what you're doing for children. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how you're helping those who are, say, coming into the K through 12 and they're dealing with medical issues?
So I married late. I was 45 when I got married. So I'm still, 45-ish, but I've been married for 12 years. So, and we decided before we got married that, we were going to be all about kids. So we wanted to have lots of kids. She has her PhD in speech pathology, and she's board certified in swallowing and swallowing disorders, as well as neurodevelopmental therapy and a whole bunch of other stuff. So she's actually smarter than I could ever be. And so we started up a foundation to pay for therapy for children. Actually, she started it right before we got married. And we were raising money to pay for speech, occupational therapy, and physical therapy for children. She had a multidisciplinary integrated clinic that provided this therapy for children. And the insurance companies were cutting back on the number of sessions per week that they would pay for. And as you can imagine, the more sessions you do, especially early in the therapy cycle, the faster the kids get better. But the insurance companies were cutting back. And so she started up this foundation to raise money to pay for therapy for these kids. And so what that over the last 12 years grew into is a vision of not only combining the multidisciplinary therapies of OTPT and speech, but also integrating that into the learning process where we're taking these kids who are, we call them medically fragile, so they're pretty intense. They're beyond just special needs. A lot of these kids are physically unable to even walk. And one parent is really required to stay home with them. So these families are even in a little bit of financial difficulties because they have higher medical bills, but then one has to actually stay home and can't earn an income. And so Jennifer came up with this model to create a preschool for these children, primarily from 6 months up to 7 years old. These kids have never been indoctrinated with other kids like them, much less other children, period. And so this is the first time they're able to come into a school setting where they see other kids just like them. And then the purpose of the model is also to include what we call typically developing kids. So your other kids who are 6 months to 7 years old who don't have any medical problems, and bring them both together into the school, incorporating the learning with the socialization, and then also incorporating the clinical aspect. So our therapists actually go into the classroom to do therapy on these kids while they're learning with their teacher. In some cases, they do get pulled out when they have to use some specific equipment, but for generally, they go into the classroom, and that's the purpose of the model, so that they can get therapy whenever they need to throughout the day while they're learning. And so that's our nonprofit, primary nonprofit side of our caring for children.
That is such a wonderful mission. People, you should go learn more about it at gordonjones.org. I was happy that I did. Honestly, seeing what you're doing as far as adoption, seeing what you're doing as far as putting this all together. Honestly, God bless you. God bless your family. That's fantastic what you're doing. It's adding a huge amount of value to the greater overall world. So thank you for that. That is great. All right.
It's just part of our direction from our Lord above.
Amen. Yeah. Amen. All right. You ready for this? Curveball time.
All right. Here's a curveball. Okay.
I noticed here in your bio that you're with the 82nd Airborne. Could you?
I was.
Could you share a little bit of a little anecdote from your time in uniform with our audience, who is very familiar with our military backgrounds?
I've pretty much blocked a lot of it.
After you had one hard jump and just burned right in, that was it. You blacked it all
Well,
out.
actually, so I've got 164 jumps, and I never had an injury. So I'm very, very lucky. Um, as you know, so I was in the 82nd, but I was also in the field artillery unit. So not only did we have Humvees and stuff like that that we had to push out, but we had 105 howitzers that we had to push out. And so the number one thing you have to remember is to always push the equipment out first before you jump, so it doesn't land on you when you hit the ground. You don't want that 2-ton truck or anything like that landing on top of you. So. But yeah, I graduated from the Citadel in 1984. Did go in the Army. Was in the 82nd as my primary duty station for 4 years. Realized that I had more to do, and so decided not to make it a career. But I am also a member, captain in the South Carolina State Guard. So a lot of people don't know what the State Guard is. It's not the National Guard. So there's about 30 or so states in the country that have what's called a state defense force. And that's behind the regular Army. Then you got your National Guard, and then your state defense force is your third tier defense. So we get called up here in South Carolina. We have hurricanes all the time. So we get called up for natural disasters. I'm in the medical division. So we've been called up to do and trained to do COVID contact tracing. So we're doing some of that kind of duty. But the State Guard is 100% voluntary. Nobody gets paid. So if we get called up, it's all still voluntary. But I enjoy that. So I still am active in the military as much as I can. And it's all good. It's all good.
That's so great. Yeah, I did not realize that you're a member of the State Guard. That's so great. That's something which we definitely try to imbue across to our children is, okay, you got to learn something. Yeah, you want to be a value-adding person within our greater overall culture and construct, but also be thinking, how is this going to help when we need to lock arms in defense? Where should the worst case scenario happen, a hurricane or tornado, something blows everything apart, what are we going to be able to do? How can you learn a skill that you can bring together into your community in order to help rebuild it? And that's something that we teach our children. And I think that's
what we tell them. Where do they actually learn the lesson or not? Because I've got 5 adopted kids, right? And we our 11-year-old, his skull has to be 3 inches thick, and he has to have filters in his eardrums because we teach and teach and teach and teach, and it doesn't go in and out. It just doesn't ever penetrate. So we're kind of, as you can tell, I'm a little frustrated with him right now. So is my wife.
Yeah. Oh,
but it's all good. It's all good. We've got our oldest is almost 27. Our youngest just turned 11. And then we have a 4-year-old grandchild and 3 others in between there. So we have a crazy household on top of everything else that's going on.
Oh, God bless you, folks. That's fantastic. Excellent. Well, you are definitely adding value to the world, and I am grateful for that. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate your wife and your family and what you're doing. So thank you very much for that. Folks, be sure to check out Gordon Jones. That's Dr. Gordon Jones on LinkedIn. Connect to this man. Start a conversation with him. Check out gordonjones.org. See what he's all about. Check out the workshops and the different learning experiences. Gather some information from there. I'm sure that you're going to find nuggets of knowledge, words of wisdom from Dr. Gordon Jones. Like I said, connect with them on LinkedIn. A lot of you fine folks that are out there, business leaders, business professionals. A lot of you are physicians or other type of private practice professionals that we've linked up with before. You can hear his expertise and what he's doing from a business development standpoint. And also, again, I just have to say, That's very cool, your wearable device that you brought on for us. That's so great. So
yeah, you can learn about that on the website as well.
yeah, I was poking around about Healy and checking
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah.
People,
Cool.
if you're listening on the podcast, you're getting the long form interview. Go to gordonjones.com. All right. Your long form interviews, if you're watching this on video, they're all a part of the 5P Inner Circle. So if you're a member of the 5P Inner Circle, you're going to see all of this uninterrupted on there. Go to 5paragraph.com right now. Starts with a book. It's free plus shipping. Get that. Get into the inner circle. You're going to be good to go. If you're listening on the podcast, subscribe, rate, review. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, all over the place. If you're on iTunes, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and get the notifications because we're releasing new episodes weekly. So go ahead, click subscribe. Dr. Gordon Jones, any save rounds, comments, suggestions, concerns? How can people reach out with you aside from gordonjones.org? Have we hit it all?
Yeah, we have hit it all, man. It's the only thing I didn't tell you is where I live. So.
Oh, goodness. All right, folks. You heard it from the man. Go to gordonjones.org. You've got everything that you need right there. Thank you so much for being a part of the 5P family. We really do appreciate you. We're grateful for you. Until next time, take care and be well.